Hi, I'm Jo with Yoga with Jo from Stillwater Wellness. I was wanting to offer you something to have a practice, 15 minutes or so, to work with through this busy, hectic time prior to Christmas in the silly season of December. I am recording this on the 21st of December, so perhaps you are well into the throes of this quite hectic energy. Whether that be yours, whether that be those around you being quite heightened or escalated, this is a really good practice, or portions of it. So working with this option, I'd like you to start perhaps, or invite you to start with having very loose hands on loose wrists, with your fingers being able to move quite freely. And you taking those fingers to tap on the top of your head. That part of your head which encases your brain, and all of the thinking and all of the doing and planning, and perhaps the busyness can be quite well felt up here. This reminds us that we're present, brings us into our sense of touch, and perhaps the noise on your skull also excludes some of those thinking, some of those thoughts, some of that thinking and those thoughts. It can really bring you in touch with that feeling sense, that sense of touch. As you go around the back of the head, the side, around the ears, the top, and perhaps over across the eyebrows and the forehead. You might find that the rhythm changes as you move to different parts of the face. I'll take my glasses off for this. So across the furrows of the brow, or maybe they're not furrows, but often they are. And that's okay. That's what happens with our expressive part of our face. To the sides of the eyes, underneath the eyes, along the cheeks, along the jaw. Wherever that works for you to go back to, maybe revisit a few areas that might need a little bit more extra attention. And to pause now and feel what you can feel in the absence of that movement. Some interoceptive awareness as to what has occurred with a slight movement, a slight shift, perhaps a slight shift. And now taking the hands to trail from the crown, along the face line, along the neck, over from the top, back of the head, back of the neck, and stroking here tenderly this area of the head, maybe across the face, maybe down the cheeks and the neck perhaps, just stroking down, with a sense of calming and settling. And taking now your left hand in the right, the left arm, the left elbow in the right hand, and creating a soft fist, and allowing that fist to gently tap along the shoulder and the neck, supported well, tapping along the neck, the shoulder, back, further back if that's available to you, along the arm, a bit of self-massage. These areas that can be tight, as we know, can carry such weight of the world. And again, pausing to notice the impact of something so brief. And moving to the other side, taking now the opposite hand, elbow, soft fist. And again, this may be something that's available to you. It may be too uncomfortable, and listen in and only do what works for you. Giving yourself that self-care. And you might even notice into the shoulders that you perhaps didn't realise areas that might have been holding your time. Maybe you're well aware. Just notice what you notice. down the arm, and once more, resting and pausing, and being in that absence. You might even like to close the eyes for a moment. Notice what happens when you give yourself small bits of attention, just little bits of attention. And knowing in Melbourne this can be quite a busy hay fever season, you might like to make those soft wrists, once again the soft hands, and creating some tapping on the chest, stimulating the lungs. This is a lung stimulating tap. You might even want to go at it around the back if you can reach. And again, so maybe releasing the breath to begin, and as you inhale tapping, when you get to the fullness, hold the breath, creating some cupping, and do some cupping, tapping and then cupping or flapping. And when you need to release breath, let it go, inhaling, in the fullness, holding, cupping, just lung stimulation. And when you need to draw in, do so, and once more resting. And at any time you can extend this even further. A few breaths. We're going to now lie down on a bolster. Getting yourself a bolster, or as I've got here, a rolled up mat, and rolled up quite flattened mat. You might have a bolster, you might be using a rolled up mat like I am. And placing yourself at the edge of that mat, the end of the mat, and supporting yourself as you roll down along the mat. And ensuring that the neck and the head are supported on the mat. That there's something keeping the body in alignment underneath you. And if this works for you, extending the arms out to shoulder height. There's nowhere to go from here. If at any time you need to come off the bolster, and when you are ready to come off the bolster, we'll roll to one side to come off. So gently supporting yourself as you roll to one side to remove the bolster later. You might like to bend the knees and perhaps even bring the foot soles together, opening up through the knees if that works for you, and only if that works for you. You may be more comfortable to have the feet flat on the floor with the knees supporting one another. And the chest is opening on its own, of its own accord. There's nothing you need to do. Your body knows. It knows what to do. And as you gently allow for this opening and expansiveness across the chest, little by little, the body will release without any effort. Just let it do what it knows to do. Whilst here, breathing, and allow for the flow of breath through the nose or the mouth. You might even like to exhale deeply through the mouth. Letting that breath be released fully. And taking 2 further breaths. And if you haven't already, drawing the feet together, bringing the knees to one side and rolling off the bolster or your rolled up mat or pillow. And returning to the flatness of your back. And just giving in for another moment. Notice the belly as it naturally receives the breath after we've opened up through the chest. and created space for the inflow of breath and the outflow of breath, the letting go. And preparing to roll to one side, to come up into sitting. And I'll be using the bench here, but you might like to use a couch or a chair for this. We're going to be elevating our feet up along this surface, or you might like to go up along the wall. So with this, I'll encourage you to place your hip up against the couch or the front of the chair and roll the body down. Roll the body down flat toward the floor and twisting and turning, bringing your feet up on the surface that you've chosen, resting them there and giving in with the feet elevated higher than the heart, either along the wall or a chair or a couch or a bench. Anything that gives you an elevation. Noticing the breath as it flows in and it flows out. Maybe even drawing the focus and the attention to where your breath is first experienced. Is it in the nose? Do you notice it here first? Do you notice it in the chest, the throat, the belly? Notice that inflow and that outflowing breath, however it arrives for you. Using your breath as the anchor here to anchor you back into the present whenever the mind goes into busyness, as minds definitely do, and as is their wont. The mind drifts away, you gently bring it back, again and again, as many times as is needed. Breath flowing, settling. And you might choose to remain here as this recording completes, or you may choose to bend the knees toward the chest and roll to one side, supporting the head for a moment or two. And again, whatever works for you as we complete this last few moments. I invite you to use this at any time that you need, as many times as you need. Take care, stay safe, and breathe out. It's Jo from stillwaterwellness.com.au. I'll be placing more videos up over the coming weeks, maybe after a short break.